We do have a body at this point.
At 4:45 in the afternoon on December 31st, 2025, a joint team of FBI agents and Bexar County Sheriff's deputies pushed through tall grass at the Burnin Bush Landscaping Company in northwest San Antonio. They had searched this area before, but something told them to look again. 10 minutes into the search, they found what no one wanted to find. A body, lying in grass so tall it had been missed during previous searches. The clothing matched the description. Black North Face sweater with baby blue accents, baby blue shorts, white shoes. And nearby, a firearm. Just a few hundred yards from where Camila Mendoza Olmos lived with her family, 7 days after she walked out on Christmas Eve morning, the search had come to a devastating end. Before we continue with this heartbreaking update, if this is your first time on One Crime at a Time, please hit that like button, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you never miss important updates on cases like this. Now let's talk about what happened in those 7 days between Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. December 24th, 2025, Christmas Eve. The sun hadn't fully risen, yet when security cameras outside the Mendoza Olmos home in the 11,000 block of Caspian Spring captured 19-year-old Camila stepping outside at 6:58 in the morning. She was wearing that black North Face sweater with baby blue accents, those baby blue shorts that seemed unusual for a December morning, and white shoes. She walked to her car in the driveway and started searching through it, looking for something. What was she looking for? We may never know. But after searching her vehicle, she didn't get in. She didn't drive away. Instead, Camila Mendoza Olmos, a petite young woman standing just 5'4" and weighing 110 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes, left her home on foot. She left behind her phone. Think about that for a moment. A 19-year-old in 2025 leaving without her phone. That device that practically everyone treats as an extension of themselves. The thing we use to navigate, to call for help, to let people know where we are. She left it inside. She left all her belongings behind. The only thing investigators believe she took was a car key, and even that detail becomes tragically significant later. Her family was still asleep. They had no idea that Camila had walked out into the early morning darkness, and they had no idea that it would be the last time she would leave that house. When her family realized she was gone, panic set in quickly. This wasn't like Camila. She hadn't told anyone where she was going. She hadn't left a note. Her car was still in the driveway. Her phone was still in the house. Where could she possibly be? The Bexar County Sheriff's Office was contacted immediately, and what happened next shows you just how seriously law enforcement took this case from the very beginning. They classified Camila's disappearance as imminent danger, which means they believed she could be in immediate risk of harm. Sheriff Javier Salazar held his first press conference and revealed something that added a deeply concerning layer to the investigation. Camila had a history of suicidal ideation. She had spoken about suicide before, according to the sheriff. This wasn't public knowledge. This wasn't something her family had shared widely. But it was information that investigators had to consider when trying to understand why a young woman would leave home at 7 in the morning on Christmas Eve without telling anyone. Sheriff Salazar explained that imminent danger could mean anything from self-harm all the way through kidnapping, and he emphasized that all of those possibilities were being investigated. But here's where family perspectives sometimes differ from official statements, and it's important to acknowledge this complexity. Camila's father stated that she had no history of depression or mental health struggles. This discrepancy isn't unusual. Sometimes people hide their pain incredibly well, even from those closest to them. Sometimes family members genuinely don't know about internal battles their loved ones are fighting. And sometimes there are different interpretations of someone's behavior or emotional state. The truth is complicated, and mental health struggles don't always look the way we expect them to look. There was another element investigators were looking into. Camila had recently gone through a breakup. Anyone who's experienced heartbreak, especially when you're young and emotions feel impossibly intense, knows how devastating that can feel. But authorities were clear about this. The breakup was mutual. Both parties agreed to end the relationship. Investigators looked into the ex-partner thoroughly and stated they didn't suspect anything nefarious was involved. They didn't believe the breakup was directly connected to her disappearance. But that doesn't mean it didn't hurt. Breakups, even mutual ones, can leave you feeling lost, questioning everything, wondering about your future and your worth. As Christmas Day came and went with no sign of Camila, the response grew massive. Her mother, Rosario Olmos, spoke to reporters with the kind of raw anguish that cuts right through you. She said, "It's not Christmas for me, it's not for us. It is the most terrible day of my life." Imagine that. The day that should be about joy and family and celebration had become the worst day of her entire life. Some of Camila's extended family drove 17 hours from California to Texas just to help search. 17 hours in a car, racing against hope and time, desperate to find their loved one. And they weren't alone. More than 100 volunteers from the community showed up. People who had never met Camila, people who just knew that a young woman was missing and a family was suffering, came out to search neighborhoods, distribute flyers, knock on doors, and comb through areas where she might have walked. The FBI joined the investigation. The United States Department of Homeland Security started checking outbound flights and border crossings. San Antonio is only about 150 miles from the Mexican border, so investigators had to consider the possibility that Camila could have traveled across state lines or even into another country. They were checking airports to see if anyone matching her description had boarded a plane. They were monitoring border checkpoints. This level of federal response told everyone just how seriously this case was being taken. But it also revealed something terrifying for the family. Instead of being able to focus their search on a specific area, they now had to grapple with the possibility that their daughter could be anywhere. Then on December 29th, 5 days after Camila disappeared, Sheriff Salazar held another press conference with what he called a significant development. A citizen had come forward with dashcam footage from the morning of December 24th. This person had been driving through the area around 7 in the morning, and their dashcam had captured something crucial. The footage showed a figure believed to be Camila walking alone on Wild Horse Parkway. She was moving with purpose, alone, with no one following her, no one beside her. This was potentially the last confirmed sighting of Camila Mendoza Olmos alive. That dashcam footage gave investigators a direction, a trail to follow. They knew she had walked from her home toward Wild Horse Parkway. They knew she was alone at that point. They intensified their search efforts in that area, going back to places they had already looked, checking again, being more thorough. And that decision to research areas they had already covered, that persistence, that refusal to give up, led to the discovery on December 31st. It was New Year's Eve. While most people were preparing to celebrate the end of 2025 and the beginning of 2026, the joint FBI and Bexar County Sheriff's Office team was back out searching. They returned to the Burnin Bush Landscaping Company, a business located just a few hundred yards from Camila's home. They had searched this area before, but the tall grass made it difficult to see everything. Something made them decide to check again. Maybe it was instinct, maybe it was procedure, maybe it was desperation. Whatever it was, 10 minutes into that search, at 4:45 in the afternoon, they found her. The body was lying in grass so tall it had concealed her during previous searches. The clothing matched exactly what Camila had been wearing when she left home 7 days earlier. That distinctive black North Face sweater with baby blue accents, those baby blue shorts, those white shoes. And near the body, investigators found a firearm. Sheriff Salazar revealed something crucial during his press conference that evening.
Firearm very near the body, and in this particular case, we were actually looking for a firearm as well that had come up missing.
It's one of them.
Obviously, the medical examiner will have to make definitive identification.
They had been looking for a missing firearm belonging to a family member. It's still unclear if the weapon found near the body is the same one that was reported missing from the family, but the implications are heartbreaking. Officials stated they do not suspect foul play. The body had what they called indicators of self-harm. The Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office would need to confirm the identification officially, along with determining the cause and manner of death. But everyone knew. The clothing matched. The location made sense given the dashcam footage showing her walking in that direction. The timeline fit. The clear alert that had been issued for Camila was discontinued that evening. Let's talk about what this means, because this is where the story becomes almost unbearably sad. Camila walked away from her home on Christmas Eve morning. She walked just a few hundred yards to a landscaping company near her neighborhood. And there, in tall grass that would hide her from view, she apparently took her own life with a firearm. For 7 days, while her family was terrified, while volunteers searched, while federal agencies checked airports and borders, while her mother said it was the worst day of her life, while people drove 17 hours to help find her, Camila was so close to home. Just a few hundred yards away. The tall grass is what made this so tragic. Search teams had been through that area before. They had looked. They had tried. But the grass was so tall that they missed her. It wasn't until they made the decision to search that specific area again, to be even more thorough, that they found what they had been looking for. And by then it was too late. It had been too late since Christmas Eve. This raises painful questions about the nature of these searches. How do you search every inch of an area when vegetation can conceal someone? How many times do you go back to the same locations? When do you decide that you've searched thoroughly enough versus deciding to search again? The teams did everything right. They went back. They searched again. But 7 days had already passed. Now we need to talk about the firearm, because this detail is crucial to understanding what likely happened. A family member's firearm was reported missing. Investigators were specifically looking for it. The weapon found near Camila's body may be that same missing firearm, though confirmation was still pending as of the press conference. This suggests that Camila may have taken the gun when she left the house that morning. Remember, investigators believed she took her car key, but left on foot. What if she took something else too? What if that's what she was looking for when the surveillance footage showed her searching through her car that morning? This completely reframes everything. If Camila took a gun when she left the house, it suggests she had already made a decision about what she was going to do. She wasn't just going for a walk to clear her head. She wasn't meeting someone. She had a plan, and that plan was to walk to a secluded area where she wouldn't be found right away, and to end her life. The fact that she left her phone behind makes even more sense in this context. She didn't want anyone to track her. She didn't want anyone to call and potentially talk her out of it. She didn't want to be found quickly. Think about the timing too. Christmas Eve morning, when her family was still asleep, when the neighborhood was quiet, when she could slip away unnoticed and get to where she was going before anyone realized she was gone. It wasn't random. It was planned, at least to some degree. And that planning, that deliberation, that's what makes this so devastating. Because if she had time to plan, maybe there was also time when someone could have reached her, could have helped her, could have changed her mind. But here's what we have to understand about suicide, and this is important. When someone is in that much pain, when they've reached that point of decision, their thinking isn't rational in the way we normally understand rationality. They're not thinking about the family members who will be destroyed. They're not thinking about the volunteers who will search for them. They're not thinking about the community that will rally together. They're thinking about ending their pain, and in that moment, that seems like the only option. Mental health struggles can create a kind of tunnel vision where you literally cannot see any other way out. Camila's father said she had no history of depression or mental health struggles. But Sheriff Salazar said she had a history of suicidal ideation. Both of these things could be true from different perspectives. Maybe Camila hid her struggles from her family. Maybe she seemed fine on the outside while battling demons internally. Maybe there were signs that in hindsight will seem obvious, but at the time seemed like normal teenage mood swings or stress. We may never know exactly what was going through Camila's mind in the days and weeks leading up to Christmas Eve, or what pushed her to that final decision that morning. The recent breakup, even though it was mutual and investigators don't suspect the ex-partner of any wrongdoing, could still have been a contributing factor. Not because the breakup itself was traumatic, but because it might have been one more thing in a life that already felt overwhelming. When you're struggling with mental health issues, even small setbacks can feel catastrophic. The end of a relationship, even a mutual one, can trigger feelings of worthlessness, of being unlovable, of wondering if things will ever get better. Combined with whatever else Camila was dealing with internally, it might have been enough to tip the scales. Her mother's words keep echoing. "It's not Christmas for me, it's not for us. It is the most terrible day of my life." She said that when Camila was still missing, when there was still hope. Now, knowing that her daughter was already gone when she spoke those words, knowing that Camila was lying in tall grass just a few hundred yards away, those words take on an even more heartbreaking meaning. The worst day of her life was indeed Christmas Eve, but not just because Camila went missing, because that was the day Camila died. The community response to this case was incredible. Over 100 volunteers searching. Family members driving 17 hours. The FBI and Homeland Security getting involved. Dashcam footage coming from concerned citizens. Everyone came together to try to bring Camila home. But sometimes, no matter how many people are looking, no matter how many resources are dedicated, no matter how much love and hope and desperate prayer goes into a search, the outcome is still tragic. And that's a hard truth to accept. What makes this case particularly haunting is the proximity. Camila was found just a few hundred yards from her home. Her family was sleeping in their house while she walked to that landscaping company. They woke up and started searching for her while she was already gone, lying in grass tall enough to hide her from view. For 7 days, they hoped and prayed and searched, and she was so close the entire time. That geographic closeness somehow makes the emotional distance even more painful. If you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide, please reach out for help. Call or text 988 to reach the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Talk to someone. Let someone help carry that weight. The pain you're feeling right now is real and it's valid, but it's not permanent. The decision to end your life is permanent. Please give yourself the chance to see that things can get better, that you matter, that your life has value even when it doesn't feel like it. So here are the questions I want you to really think about. What could have made the difference for Camila? Was there a moment in those days or weeks before Christmas Eve when the right word from the right person could have changed everything? How do we as a society get better at recognizing when someone is struggling, even when they seem fine on the surface? And how do we create environments where people feel safe asking for help before they reach that point of no return? Why do people who are contemplating suicide sometimes seem fine, even happy, in their final days? It's because they've made their decision, and that decision brings a kind of terrible peace. They're not struggling anymore because they know the struggle is about to end. Did Camila seem different in the days before Christmas Eve? Did anyone notice anything? Or did she hide it so well that no one could have known? And here's perhaps the hardest question of all. If Camila's family had known she had taken a firearm, if they had realized it was missing immediately, would it have changed anything? Would they have been able to find her in time? Or was her mind already made up in a way that no intervention could have altered? Comment your thoughts below. This case has devastated a community and a family, and it raises so many important questions about mental health, about how we support young people who are struggling, about how we recognize warning signs. Share this video with anyone who needs to hear this story, anyone who might be struggling themselves, anyone who works with young people and needs to understand how hidden these battles can be. Hit that like button, subscribe to One Crime at a Time, and turn on notifications so you stay updated on important cases and mental health discussions like this one. If you found this case important, visit the channel to watch this next, and discover more cases that highlight the critical importance of mental health awareness. Because every life matters, and every story deserves to be told with the respect and care it deserves.